Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone, or evening, whatever time frame you folks are listening. This is an opportunity for you to take a short time out of your day today to learn about something from Jeffrey Berger. And we're going to be talking specifically about the microbiome and its effects on health. Very, very important topic for all of us. This is a part of the ultimate food healing retreat, which will be held in the gorgeous island of Isla de las Mujeres, which is just across from Cancun, a short hop and skip from those of us here in Florida. So this is going to be taking place in June of next year. I'll tell you more details about it at the end, and I will also tell you now and at the end that you have an opportunity to win this particular food healing retreat for a $10 raffle ticket. So I'll tell you more details about all of that and the amazing topics we're going to be covering in this 5-day food healing retreat. So right now, let's just move into talking with Jeffrey Berger. He is the VP of the Holistic Chamber of Commerce here in Southwest Florida. He is a wellness partner also with Amari Global. It's a holistic mental wellness company which focuses on the microbiome and the gut-brain axis. It's a lot to do there. Did you know you have a second brain? Some of you do, and some of you don't. Well, you'll find out more here. There's science, research, and clinical trials which are proving that a healthy gut leads to a healthy mind. So, Jeffrey, he's your gut guy. He's helping educate you about bringing your microbiome gap bridging your microbiome gap to treat your body like the temple that it is. Let's age gracefully and healthy together. And his favorite thing is to say, remember, hashtag poop matters. So with that, Jeffrey, please join us and let's learn what you have to share with us today.
Well, thanks, Deb, for having me on today. Really appreciate it. And you taking the time to interview me. That's awesome.
You're welcome.
So
the first question, yes, the first question is going to be to cover some things about what is the microbiome? What is that? And what's the new science that is disrupting the health and wellness industry right now?
Awesome. Great question. So actually, the first recorded documented statement was by Hippocrates, stating that everything starts in the gut. So it goes back that far where there was suspicion that things are going on in the gut. And, you know, over the years, the centuries, we have come into today's science, and the Microbiome Project, which started in 2006, was kind of the catalyst to where we were able to do research and clinical studies within the microbiome, and basically stating that the gut is your second brain, and today they're saying that your heart is your third brain. So there's a lot of correlation there. So what this is that, you know, your gut is the centric part of your body and how it works on both physically and mentally, because when we went to school, we were taught physical health, but we were not taught mental health, which is there's a huge correlation between the two there. So as I said, that we actually have three brains: the gut, the brain, and the heart, which are synergistically working together. And for those that don't know, 90% of the cells in our body are non-human. So that means 90% are bacterial genes and 10% are actually human genes. So we're more bacteria than we are human genes, which is pretty amazing. So we have this ecological community of trillions of microbacteria or microorganisms that are living, you know, symbiotically in or on our body, which is pretty amazing because the skin has its own microbiome as well. So with the science that they've been doing over the last, since the beginning of the project, in the last 4 to 5 years, the reports from the science research and the clinical studies are now stating that all disease really stems from the gut. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about in regards to, you know, the food. Food is really medicine, and we've gotten away from what food is really here for and how food is grown, because it's changed over the years and it's mass produced, and some of those things we'll be talking about. But the microbiome actually communicates, you know, with the brain to regulate. It regulates your health. It regulates your you know, your immune system, or the immune function, and weight, digestive function. We've got mood, and really your overall mental health, which is huge in regards to the way we think and the way we act. So, you know, so what we put our bodies effects in the microbiome, we turn the effects around to the mind and other crucial body systems, because again, as I say, they're all working synergistically together. And if you don't have a healthy gut, then everything else in your body is thrown off. And there's two correlations I want to wrap up with this, the microbiome being the science that's disrupting the health and wellness industry, is that we talk about imbalance and out of balance. And imbalance is when we're feeling great and we're really optimized in overall well-being. And the well-being is both physical and mental health. All right. And then out of balance, it's, you know, today we have a tendency that we're looking at the out of balance as being normal. As we age, you know, we get tired, we get sad, we get tense, we get hungry. You know, and there's heavy, bloated, confused stiffness and soreness within our bodies and in our minds, you know, depending on what that is. That seems to be the norm. It doesn't have to be the norm. And that's what the microbiome is really here to educate people about. That can change if you want it to change.
Yeah, I agree with you. And working in a clinic environment in natural medicine, I see the results of this dysbiosis, this gut imbalance all the time. Mm-hmm. And we see how that can be reversed as well. Huge changes can be made for people. They just don't even have a clue. But, you know, if you sit around in a clinic environment for a while, you start to really see these patterns. So kudos to you for getting out here and helping educate people in this regard. I'm also hearing, and I know there are alarming statistics out there about the mental health. Can you share some of them that you have learned?
Sure. I'm going to share a slide here because this is really powerful information. And these are some depressing statistics in regards to mental health. So the World Health Organization calls stress the health epidemic of the 21st century. And this is really getting way out of control in regards to just, you know, recently over the last 30 to 50 years, because everything is changing. Everything is fast paced. It's not like it was back 100 to 200 years ago. Everybody's under stress, whether it's kids and teenagers and adults, depending on the situation, whether it's school, family, children, work, and even sports. People who are into sports and any kind of activity, if there's some kind of competitiveness. So that's the number one, you know, stress health epidemic. 100 million Americans suffer from chronic pain. 800,000 people die of suicide every year. And I will just, you know, proclaim here that, you know, I'm thankful because I am a 2-time attempted suicide survivor. And I'm glad I'm not one of those statistics. 90% of adolescents have depressive disorder before the age of 18. You know, when I was a kid, and I'm sure when you were a kid, Deb, we didn't have a lot of depressed kids because we had, you know, we had social activities after school and we were always doing things. There was not the technology that we have today. People are not on their phones constantly, you know.
We were out there climbing trees and playing in the dirt and getting in the sunshine.
Exactly. And we're feeding our microbiome with healthy stuff. We got 350 million people globally are affected by depression, and that number just keeps growing. And then 24 million people by the age of 12 or older received treatment for illicit drug or alcohol abuse last year. So, and then 30% of the college students today, they're feeling depressed. And then we've got 20% of new mothers in the U.S. report postpartum depression each year. So these are really staggering numbers, and these numbers are, these are just small parts of what we've got going on. I think it's 1 in 59 kids are diagnosed autistic by 2025. They're predicting it's going to be 1 in 25. I get different numbers from different people, but it really depends. The increase of autoimmune diseases, the early onset of dementia and Alzheimer's is getting not into the 70s, 80s, and 90s, but it's starting in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, which is astronomically unbelievable. And those are just some of the numbers here that we've got going on. And people need to, I'm going to say, wake up and really understand what's causing this. And we'll get into that in a few minutes, but there is some significant changes. No, in fact, I'm going to say not significant. I'm going to say small changes on a daily basis that can impact their health from a physical and a mental perspective moving forward if they want to, because it's statistics. What runs in the families stays in the family unless you change it. So with that, there is also here that I want to share, with mental health, low self-esteem and a struggle to love oneself is a major contributor to many of the mental health issues that exist in our world today. I've been involved with this company for about, just a little over a year now. I would say almost 95% of the people that I have conversations with have low self-esteem, which is really pretty amazing. And, we get to, I'm really humbled that they share that with me, and we talk about, why that is. And it's running rampant. We need to really take a step back and look at, as we say, in the holistic arena, get to the root of it. What is really causing this to happen with so many people?
It's quite a trend, and in our lifetime it has become a major problem. So yes, once again, we need to keep learning and getting this word out. And I forgot to mention that I'm with Lotus Blossom Clinic, and that's where we see all of these clinical evidence of these issues, and we work with people in this regard too. So we really understand and value this whole understanding of microbiome and of how to work with it. And just to really stop, when we stop as a group and as an individual and say, well, how come it's so different than it was 100 years ago? Why did our grandparents' generation and our parents' generations not have these problems? But now, even as young children, we're seeing all these difficulties. What's going on here? Yep. So, well, let's delve into a little bit more about the mental wellness spectrum, if you would, Jeffrey.
Sure. So this is a spectrum that we've come up with, the company that I'm associated with, Amari Global. And this is a pretty unique spectrum. And, how you feel is not just in your head, but it's also in your gut, that gut feeling. And that really plays into a lot of, how we make decisions. And as I said earlier, our second brain, which is our gut, includes the microbiome, and plays a major role in mental wellness overall. And we do now, and we have naturally, do something naturally to improve your mental health. But we've been hearing this from, arenas outside of Western medicine, that there are, God put plants on the earth for a reason. And we haven't really utilized those plants to the best of our ability in the past. However, that is changing because people are getting sick and tired of being sick and tired because things aren't working for them. They're looking for an answer. And with this spectrum, I talked earlier about being normal. You know, what's kind of the standard. And if you look at the spectrum from 1 to 10, you know, I kind of ask people, where do you fall on the spectrum? And most people fall between 4 and 7, because for them, you know, they're fatigued, they're sad, they've got brain fog, you know, they've got different things going on, and that is, you know, supposedly the norm of what's going on as we get, you know, older, and that's just part of life. But there's that percentage that does fall on the left-hand side of the spectrum, which is disease status, depression, anxiety, diabetes, you know, obesity, all of the lists there. I won't list all of them, but you know, it starts with leaky gut. That is where things start. And if you don't take care of a leaky gut situation, then it leads to a plethora of other autoimmune diseases, and then into, you know, some major illnesses, which is a result of being on pharmaceuticals, which are band-aids to cover up, you know, fixing what they think it will fix when it doesn't really fix it.
Yeah, that's certainly one of them. And we see a lot of other things that can cause it. It's amazing when people stop wheat, and a lot of people have more issue with wheat than they know. Today's gluten is not our grandparents' gluten, for one thing.
That's right.
So there are a lot of different causes to it, and people don't recognize that when they're sad and depressed, or when they have all these digestive troubles, that they may actually have this thing called leaky gut. And then if they have it, oftentimes their Western medicine doctor does not have any solution for that. So this is where they do come and seek the natural medicine remedies, and we go back in time with foods. We go forward in time with the microbiome and products that will help them in that regard. And I think, you know, it's a combination of things with people. They need to realize there are foods, and they need to realize there are supplements, and how to use them best.
Absolutely. So our objective here is to really get people from the left and to the middle to being optimized. Why can't we always be rarely sick? Why can't we always be energetic? Why can't we always be happy? You know, granted, you can't be happy 24/7, but you can be happy 95% of the time, you know. But that's kind of our goal here, is to really teach people about the microbiome and how do you transition from the left to the middle to the right, and living an optimized, healthy, holistic lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's move into some actual looking at the food part of that and the holistic lifestyle, and other things that may be causing them troubles that they need to be aware of. So share some of those ideas, if you would.
Sure. So, I mean, basically, food is medicine. I mean, that's the bottom line. But today, unfortunately, the food that we eat here in the United States is highly processed. It's treated with chemicals, and the land that it's grown on has lost all of the nutrients that these plants really thrive on, and we end up, you know, or that we should be consuming. So we're not consuming those. And today, unfortunately, you know, you've got canned foods, you've got box foods, you've got fast foods, you've got processed foods. All of these types of foods basically have bad components in them. And I'm talking from, you know, chemicals, preservatives, and these are the items that are, or the factors, I should say, that lead to having a dysbiosis in your gut, where you start to, these things start eating at your gut, and which starts to go to leaky gut. One of the things that I'm really striving, and I'm really shocked, but, you know, in the same token not, is a lot of people don't understand what glyphosate is. And it's now starting to come out into seeing it on the TV. And this is a chemical that is in the product called Roundup, which is developed by Monsanto. And glyphosate was patented back in 1974 as an antibiotic. And this was the first of GMO, genetically modified organisms. And they're injecting this into the genes of corn and soy to ward off the insects eating the plants. Well, whatever the insects don't eat, who eats it? We do.
And wheat.
And well, the wheat, yeah. So the wheat is it's sprayed with the Roundup to ward off, the insects from eat it. Any product or anything grown that's sprayed with chemicals to ward off insects, we're consuming that. And we need to be aware of that, because when we were kids, we didn't see all of the autoimmune diseases that we do today. People weren't getting dementia in their 40s and in their 50s. This is happening now. So we, as baby boomers, since the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, we've been consuming all of these types of foods. For those who have been, many have not, but those who have been have developed, different autoimmune diseases. And there is a way to reverse autoimmune disease. I'm type 2. I was type 2 diabetes. I've reversed my type 2 diabetes. So there's one autoimmune disease that can be reversed. And that's not taught in Western medicine. They're taught, take your meds and just watch what you eat and take your medicine every day. And, oh, by the way, 10 years later, now you got to take a new medication because you're getting side effects from that medication. And then it just goes on and on and on. So those are things that we're really out to educate people on, and having the proper foods, the proper carbohydrates, the proper fruits and vegetables, and the oils and the protein, so forth and so on. And this is what we need to really educate the consumer about, and to push them and get them away from these processed foods, fast foods, and the boxed and chemical foods that are out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And go back to doing some things that your mother and your grandmother may have done, pre-fermented foods on your counter. It's amazing what can happen when people start to treat their microbiome and their microbiota, their actual intestinal balance, to create a place where the good bacteria really have a good home.
Right.
And so you have the prebiotics and the probiotics and all of those things that are so important. Just down the street this week, one of my neighbors came back from being up north, and he had been on doxycycline, several rounds of it for the past couple of months. And he found himself again in the emergency room. This was Saturday, and I saw him in the afternoon. His wife had gotten him outside, and wow, his skin was red, and whatever's showing up here is happening in the gut as well.
Right, yeah.
So I gave him a big jar of sauerkraut, homemade sauerkraut, with a super boosted culture that I use. And the next day, his color was back. And he came out and he said to me, wow, that stuff's really powerful. Well, yeah, there's powerful natural medicines. And when he begins to understand through this experience, he's more curious to understand more about the microbiome and about the balance that's required there, and about the effects that these foods can have. Yeah. And so, people, when we can touch them at the right moment and help them, that's great. And you have some ways to really help them. In fact, I'd like you to share at least 3 more nuggets with our viewers, things that you think they really need to take home with them.
Sure. So the first nugget is, I really would like to encourage people to seriously start to think about being open to being directed to different paths to learn more about what's really out there outside of the SAD. And the SAD is the Standard American Diet, because it is very sad. All right, because this is what is ultimately killing the U.S. population, because it's causing so many autoimmune diseases, starting, as I said earlier, with leaky gut, because that's where it begins. So that's number one, is really to open your mind to, different possibilities. The second one is understand what getting to the root of the cause is. Today, we don't, in Western medicine, we don't get to the root of the cause. And for example, for me, I found out that when I was stressed, I ate, and I didn't eat the right foods. So that exacerbated the pre-diabetic diagnosis, which then led me into diabetes because I was eating the wrong foods that fed to getting leaky gut and then going into full-blown type 2 diabetes. So with that, because if you don't get to the root cause, what's out there today doesn't heal or reverse anything. It just puts a Band-Aid over it. And then you end up getting side effects from whatever that Band-Aid is. And those that are watching, I know you know what I'm talking about, or I'm pretty sure that you know what I'm talking about, because bottom line is God put plants on this earth for a reason, and we are not utilizing them to the best of our abilities, okay? The third is this is a retreat, and it's about, treating your body like the temple it is. We are a temple. This is the only temple that we have. And if you don't really take care of it and really focus on your health, then you've got nothing. You are losing the best years of your life towards the end. And even I'm even going to go back to kids today, because kids are being diagnosed type 2 diabetes. The obesity in children today is astronomical, and you need to be open to looking at and understanding how to get to the root of the cause, because that's when you're really going to start to say, aha, that's the missing link to this. And bottom line is mental wellness is the new physical health. And if you don't have a good gut, you're not going to have a stable mental platform to be able to work off of. And they both work together, and you really have to start feeding the gut the right food so it can open up that communication link from the vagus nerve, which goes from the gut to the brain, and clear that parking lot so it can talk to the brain and go back and forth, because the gut talks to the brain talks to the gut, and vice versa with the heart. So it's that whole symbiotic communication link between all of them. So those are my 3 nuggets.
Those are really good basic things for people to think about. And Jeffrey, if they wanted to inquire further with you, how would they best reach you?
Sure. They can reach me at my email address, which is Jeffrey, Jeffrey, at jeffreyeberger.biz, and that's Jeffrey, Berger, Berger.biz. Or I'll say you can text me. Text me first and let me know who you are and you saw this video at 716-570-2150, because I don't answer the phone unless there's a name associated with it. The other thing I want to just mention, Deb, one last nugget here, is that, many of us, for me with type 2 diabetes, this is, and me reversing it, it's a lifestyle change. And this is something that you develop over time. I didn't reverse it in 2 or 3 months. It was a complete lifestyle change, and I needed to retrain my brain on what I needed to do to hit those goals. And now I want to maintain those goals moving forward, so I can live a non-pharmaceutical, holistic, happy, healthy life for the rest of my life.
And Jeffrey, you've done an amazing job. I've watched your transformation over the past year, and it has really been dramatic. And I didn't have any idea that you had such difficulty with depression that you had considered suicide. And seeing how positive and active you are, it's clear that you've come a long way. So you are the poster child for this, and I applaud you for that. I just want to say that I'm so glad that you're going to be there at the retreat, because people will want to sit down and have conversations with you about it. They'll want to have conversations with me about it. I am also one of the instructors, Deb Martine, Lotus Blossom Clinic. Yay, yeah, we're going to have a blast. In fact, let me tell you who all is going to be there. We've got Candy Taylor Love. She is a yoga instructor, so we'll be having some yoga. in the mornings, perhaps something even in the evenings. There are breathing activities also. And we're going to be on this beautiful island, breathing this beautiful clean air. There's also Amy Rybicki with Simply Natural Health Coaching. And she is an amazing coach, a really keep you on track kind of gal who's so energetic with everything that she does, so positive and bright, just a bright energy to be around. And Tony Wingle is going to be there with us, I think is one of our primary devotees, and she also has some background in this. Lainey Savante Wilkin, she is our Holistic Chamber president, and in fact the president and founder of the entire Holistic Chamber of Commerce is going to be joining us as well. Lainey has a food science degree, and she is not here today because she's learning more about food as medicine and becoming certified in another program. And Oksana Datz, she's with the Gift of Health. Wow, Oksana has such a background, and she came to it through difficulty with her mother and going through the whole process of cancer and losing her, and finding that yes, food has such an ability to assist us. And she also connects in with the emotional qualities with food. Lucille Trice. Lucille is the owner of the Holistic Radiance Day Spa, and she has a background as a nurse, actually battlefield experience, and just very grounded in both the Western medicine and understanding of the physiology from that perspective, as well as understanding the holistic means of reversing conditions and helping people be happy and healthy. So that's who's going to be there. When is it? It's June 4th through 7th. So that is a few months away. Gives you some time to plan. For all those of us from Florida, like I said, it's just a hop and a skip away. You're going to experience the breathtaking island of the Isla de las Mujeres. It's off the coast of Cancun, as I said. And we'll be taking in local culture. I'll give you a sense of that as we go through what's happening. So let me just guide you through what's going to be on the agenda. So on Wednesday, there's an evening meet and greet, welcome and opening remarks by Camille Leon, and we'll have plenty of free time that's available also as we move through all of these. So know that that's also scheduled in. We will start with a sunrise meditation on Thursday morning. That's optional. 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. is a morning movement class. So there'll be yoga, qigong, meditation, and then we'll follow that with breakfast and food demos. So we're going to be having lots of these food demos along with the classes. There'll be a class for an hour, a couple of classes, some lunch, opportunity to come back for another class. Then we have in the afternoon some group excursions and free time, so you can choose to just go tickle your toes in the sand, or you can come along on a group excursion. And then 7 o'clock is dinner that night, and it's a cookout at the hotel. The hotel is Il Milagro, which is right there on the coastline. There's all kinds of play toys for the ocean available, and they'll probably even take you fishing as well as kayaking and that sort of thing. And Friday, again, we have the meditations, we've got movement, we've got breakfast and food demos, and classes of different kinds, a culinary food tour. So we actually go into the island and walk into people's homes in some cases. We'll be sampling different things from the local culture there. It's behind the scenes island food culture. That is an optional tour. And then on Saturday, we'll have some more food demos and the usual morning meditations and movements and food demos and classes, and another group excursion, then dinner out downtown. And sunrise meditation on Sunday, morning movements, some closing remarks, and then some people will choose to stay a few more days perhaps and just chill. So if you have all these options, I would say it's a smart thing probably to book soon. We're only allowing 20 spots for this first time inaugural event, and we do plan to do this on an annual basis and really dive deep into the ultimate food healing modalities, the newest, latest in science, and have people who are actually working in this world, which is great. So what are the classes? Okay, so you're going to like these. The ins and outs of eating with oils. Oh my, is there so much controversy about this and so little knowledge. Those even who have some knowledge will understand more of the depth of why when you have come through this. We're calling this the good, the bad, and the oily. And then there's another one, the ABCs of vitamins, balancing the alphabet of health. So a lot about different foods there. And the 411 of fermented foods. This is one of my personal favorites. The number of things, of health conditions that can be reversed and improved with fermented foods is just striking. Everything from helping someone who has just a little bit of gas to helping someone with cancer and with some of the effects that they're moving through, and mental depression. There are foods that contain high B12, and that is a happy chemical that we all need. The next one, the new news, fact, or fiction, setting the record straight on diet trends, fads, and truths. So there's so much that's always in the news, different fads, different new things coming up. So what are these all about? We're going to cut to the chase on some of these. We have some science to back up what we're talking about, and we'll have open sharing, of course, amongst people and lots of Q&A. Eating with gratitude. Taking just a moment even now to recognize the breath and to recognize that we cause chemicals to flow into our body based on where we are mentally with our moods and our intentions. So as we eat with gratitude, how that makes an actual physiological difference in our bodies. Turning back the clock, another favorite of mine. Anti-aging foods that bring you back to your prom days. So how do you create that vibrant energy that you know you once had that is kind of dissipated over the years? Or maybe you're really in need of a lot more energy. We'll be talking about how to turn back the clock, what kinds of foods can help you with that, and also beyond foods. We'll have some ideas for you beyond foods. The deep dive into food as medicine. Again, this is my passion at the clinic. So much is based on the foods as well. Setting sail on what we eat for increased vitality and health is the subtopic on that one. The colon craze gone wild. Now you can guess who's teaching this one. Wave to them, Jeffrey. Okay, so why everyone's going cuckoo for caca, or cacao, or whatever they're going cuckoo for, they'll have reasons, right? Enlightened eating, high vibe foods that will leave you oming for more. So these are the classes that we will be teaching at this event. And I just want to remind you that this event, which is $795 for the 5 days, includes almost everything once you get there. Except for the hotel, it includes almost everything, all of your meals, the excursions. There are 2 meals, I believe, that are on our own, but the rest of this, it's all inclusive. So for a Holistic Chamber member, it's $795, and for anyone who's not a Holistic Chamber member, it's $995. And by the way, the cost of membership is about the same, so it might make sense to become a member. And you can sign up for a raffle ticket for $10 and possibly win a seat at this event. So feel free to look us up on either Cape Coral or Fort Myers, the Holistic Chamber of Commerce, and you'll see links to things there. You can find contacts, you can message us. You're welcome to message me, Deb Martine. And you can leave a text for me at 303-929-4972. So we're happy to help you get on board with this in whatever way. And that's pretty much it for me. Is there anything more you're thinking of, Jeffrey?
Oh, we're all set. We're up at the top of the 3/4 of the hour. It's 2:44 and we got to 2:45. So thanks, Deb.
Okay, thank you very much, and look forward to seeing everyone on the next journey here. We've got some, I think the next one coming up, it might be in January. I'm not certain about that, but we will update you online at the Holistic Chambers about these next different opportunities to find out more from the experts who are going to be at this food healing retreat, called, once again, the Ultimate Food Healing Retreat. So you can find the event on Facebook also to learn more about that.
Yep.
So
Awesome.
signing off for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.